This is the Paracave Podcast, proudly brought to you by major sponsor Jack's Pale Ale, exclusively available at Parramatta Leagues Club, Shannon Cooney from Glenmore Park Realty, Bo Cook from Loan Market, BTZD, the official apparel partner of the Paracave Podcast, and the Parramatta Times, the official media partner of the Paracave Podcast.
Welcome to another episode of the Paracave Podcast. And now over to your host, Troy Warner, broadcasting live from the world-famous Paracave.
And yes, hello and welcome back to another episode of the Paracave Podcast. And it is grand final week, and the grand finals in both the NRLW and the NRL are upon us on this Sunday, the 1st of October at Accor Stadium, and what a day it will be. Three big clashes with the Rabbitohs and the Tigers in the NRL State Championship at 1:20, and then the NRLW Grand Final, the Knights and the Titans at 3:55pm, and then the big one, the Panthers and the Broncos at 7:30pm kickoff. So a massive day on Sunday at Accor Stadium. So it always is a grand final day, a massive day, big day for rugby league fans, and particularly the fans of those sides that are involved in grand finals. Look, let's kick it off with the NRLW Grand Final, and as I said, it is the Knights versus the Titans at 3:55pm at Accor Stadium. Now, the Newcastle Knights, they are the defending premiers in the NRLW, and they are coming up against the Titans side, who finished third in the regular season of the NRLW. They defeated the high-flying Sydney Roosters last weekend in the semi-final, and which came as a bit of a surprise to most people. Most people thought that the Sydney Roosters were going to be playing the Newcastle Knights, but it wasn't to be. The Titans turned it on and won 12-0. And the Newcastle Knights, they held off a fast-finishing Brisbane Broncos side up there at Marathon Stadium. That was back in the old days, Troy. McDonald Jones Stadium up there in Newcastle in front of a massive crowd for a standalone game, which was great to see. 30 points to 24. So these two teams face off this weekend. Look, it's going to be a great game, as grand finals usually are. And look, anything can happen on the day. As we've seen in grand finals before, anything can happen on the day. The Newcastle Knights will go into this game as favourites and deserved favourites. The Gold Coast Titans, they're looking to win their first major competition in the NRLW and also the NRL as well, but their first major competition, they're hoping to win that one. And look, it's great to see a different team in the grand final trying to win their first premiership. Obviously, Newcastle did it last year, and then the Brisbane Broncos, they were pretty dominant in the early parts of the NRLW, winning 3 or 4 premierships, I think it is, in the NRLW. So, always good to see another team with the opportunity to win a premiership, and that's what the Titans will be after on Sunday. Now, the Newcastle Knights, as I said, they'll go into the game as favourites and deserved favourites, as they are the defending premiers. And look, they've been playing some good footy over the course of the season. They've played some really consistent football. They beat the high-flying Roosters a few weeks ago, 20 points to 4. They've beaten all comers, and they really smashed it out this year. So, look, the they're a pretty good side. Tamika Upton up the fullback, great player. Shanice Parker in the centres. Jessie Southwell coming of age at halfback. Her sister Hannah, captain of the Newcastle Knights, back at lock there, and scored a first try last week in the NRLW, so a relief for her to get that try, so congratulations on getting that one done. Yasmin Clydesdale in the second row, Caitlin Johnston at prop. Great season that she is having as well, continued on her great form. So, look, these players have been there before. They've won the competition. They've got the experience. They've been playing some great footy. They've got everything to lose, and the Titans have got everything to win. The Titans, look, they've got some great players as well. Obviously, Jamie Chapman can score some tries. Ivana Politi at fullback, great player there. But they're probably their standout player they've got two probably standout players for this year. First of all, Lauren Brown, the halfback. She's obviously had that experience from the Brisbane Broncos. She's come over to the Gold Coast Titans. She's won a few games for the Titans off her boot by winning the winning field goal. And also Shannon Marto as well, the prop forward for the Gold Coast Titans, exceeding running meters, setting running meters records, and she's had a great season as well. So, look, I think the Newcastle Knights will get this done. It'll be great to see if the Gold Coast can win it, but I think they are right up against it. The last time these two sides played, the Knights got away with the win, 22 points to 10. So a good game there, but I think the Gold Coast, they'll give it all. They'll give it all. They'll want to get the win, obviously, but look, they'll give it all. But this Newcastle side, they're going to have a lot of Newcastle support down at the ground as well, and it just showed that from last weekend's game up at McDonald Jones Stadium in Newcastle, that support will come down to Sydney as well and support the girls, and this will be a great clash. One interesting thing about this game is the player of the match. Now, in the NRL, it is the Clive Churchill Medal. In the NRLW, it is the Karen Murphy Medal. So, interesting that Karen is the coach of the Gold Coast Titans and the first female coach to have their team in the grand final, coach their team to a grand final. So, congratulations, Karen, on that achievement. But also, she has the medal named, the grand final, the player of the match, the grand final medal named in her honour. So she could find herself in the unique situation of having to present an opposition player with that medal. So that could be quite awkward. You would like to think that the Titans would get the win, and then that will be a lot easier, but I think it'll be a little bit different. Obviously, it's an honour to have your name, to have the player of the grand final medal named after yourself, but it'll be interesting and I guess a unique situation where if the Newcastle Knights end up winning this game, that she will have to present most likely anyway, present a Newcastle player with that medal. So that could be a little bit of an awkward situation, but who knows? It would be an interesting one anyway. If the Titans get the win, well, then it'll be so much easier for Karen to hand over that medal. So Tamika Upton is the current, was last year's medal winner, so she may go back to back. You never know. Just have to wait and see. So a little interesting point there with the player of the match. So I'm going to tip the Newcastle Knights. I think they'll get the job done in this one, and they'll go back-to-back in this competition. They are slowly becoming the new sort of, I guess you could call it, Brisbane Broncos, who were pretty dominant at the start of the NRLW competitions. So I think they are slowly building and becoming like them as well. So I think they'll go back-to-back. I think they'll get the job done. Not too sure about a score prediction. Newcastle Knights do have a lot of points in them. I think they'll be in about the 20s. And it just depends on the Gold Coast defence, I guess. But I think the Newcastle Knights will get the win and be back-to-back premiers, which will be a massive achievement. Just a little side note, I guess you could say, about the NRLW. I guess it's probably a little bit of a disappointment for the Sydney Roosters not to be playing there on grand final day. And the NRLW, you only get one opportunity in semi-finals, so you have to turn up on the day and get the victory in the semi-finals to be playing the grand final. Maybe they could start the season 1 week earlier, perhaps, and maybe give the minor premiers a week off, and maybe make it a top 5. Give the minor premiers a week off, and then the other 2, 3, 4, 5 positions of the ladder play in the first week of finals, and the top 2 and 3 sides in that top 5, they get another opportunity if they do lose that game. Who knows? Maybe something like that, or some sort of formula like that. But yeah, it just shows you that you have to be right on the day. You have to get the win on the day to be playing in the grand final, and also in the grand final as well. So who knows? Just maybe something that the NRL might think about and maybe change for next year. Obviously, when there's a few more teams added, hopefully in the next couple of years, in the next few years, I think it will be. Then maybe with more teams in the competition, maybe something like that will occur. So, but anyway, at the moment, that's how it is, and that's how we've gotten to the Newcastle Knights playing the Gold Coast Titans. So good luck to both teams. Good luck to both sets of fans. But I'm going to tip Newcastle in this one. Now, to the big one, the Panthers versus the Broncos. It was the grand final that probably everyone was tipping that it would be. They were the first and second teams in the competition, 1 versus 2, the Panthers being the minor premiers. They've made their 4th consecutive grand final. They are looking for the three-peat, not done since the Parramatta side of 81, 82, 83. So 40 years ago that was last achieved. The Roosters had an opportunity a few years ago to go the three-peat, but wasn't to be, and so the Panthers have this opportunity. So not necessarily something that they will be hunting for, I guess, because it's already been done, but I think just the fact they'll just be wanting to win this competition again. So 4th grand final in 4 years. This will be an interesting one. The Broncos, last in the grand final in 2015, obviously went down in that classic game to the North Queensland Cowboys. Their last premiership was 2006 in Shane Webke's last game in Rugby League. Great grand final. That one was against the Melbourne Storm as well. So they last tasted success in 2006. And so it's been a long time between drinks for them. Wooden spoon a few years ago. They missed out on the finals last year after a late season capitulation. And this year they've really turned it on under the coaching of Kevin Walters and also with his players as well, particularly Reece Walsh, Adam Reynolds leading the way, obviously Pat Carrigan and Payne Haas as well. So those guys have really led the way in this team, and and Kevin Walters has transformed this team and now into a grand final side. So, look, I mean, there's not too much to say about the Panthers. We all know how good they are. They go into the side with a unchanged lineup that was played last week against the Melbourne Storm in their victory at the same venue, Accor Stadium. So they'll have a little bit of experience there, but they know how to play at that venue in the big games with a big crowd behind them. Look, what can you say? They got James Fisher-Harris at prop, Moses Leota. We all saw what they did last year in the grand final against Parramatta. They virtually dominated Junior Paolo and Regan Campbell-Gillard and set the platform for the rest of their forward pack, and also the backs as well gave them space. So they are the big game players, but it's going to be a great clash. There's so many great clashes in this game. Moses Leota versus Thomas Flegler, James Fisher-Harris, Payne Haas, who is the Brisbane Broncos forward leader, Isaiah Yeo, Pat Carrigan, Adam Reynolds, Nathan Cleary. What else have we got? We've got Dylan Edwards versus Reece Walsh as well. So some great matchups there, some great challenges for all those players. But the Penrith side, look, Jerome Luai, he was out with a dislocated shoulder against Parramatta and came back last week. Many thought, was he right to go? He has come back last week against the Melbourne Storm. Pretty good performance. Shoulder didn't seem to trouble him, so he's been named at 5'8", and to partner Nathan Cleary, obviously, in this side. Who Nathan Cleary? Well, he's just been he's had the ball on a string with his kicks, his passing game. He's been scoring tries. Many people are saying, how good is he going at his age? And he will maybe become one of the greatest players of the NRL. So only time will tell with that one. But certainly if he gets another premiership, well then no doubt he will be in that conversation for sure. Stephen Crichton is playing his 100th game in the NRL, and also his last game for the Panthers, having signed a contract with the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. So he will want to go out a winner with the Panthers for sure, no doubt, by going to the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs. He'll want to go out a winner, that's for sure. So Stephen Crichton playing his 100th game. Dylan Edwards, he is the last year's Clive Churchill medal winner. Will he back it up and do it again? Who knows, but he's got the experience over Reece Walsh, who has come out and probably had a breakout season this year. But Dylan's been there before. We all remember, unfortunately for myself and other Para fans, that tackle he made on Bailey Simonson in the grand final last year. So if he keeps that form up, then, he has this year, then the Broncos will find it hard to score tries. And Brian Toto, well, he knows how to score tries in finals, something like 9 tries in his last 5 finals or something like that. It's really a good record, and he scored a couple in the grand final last year. He knows how to score tries, finish them off anyway. So, great there. Great to see there. So, look, the Panthers, as I said, they've got the experience. They've been there before. I think there's 11 players from their 2021 premiership that are playing in this game. So they've got the experience. They know how each other plays. They're the best defensive team and best attacking team, I think. So they know how to get the job done. So it's theirs to lose, Brisbane's to win. Now, on the Brisbane side, as I said before, you've got Reece Walsh, you've got Adam Reynolds, you've got Payne Haas, you've got Pat Carrigan. They're probably the big guns in the Brisbane side. But then you've also got players like Herbie Farnworth, Katoni Staggs, Ezra Mam, who can come out of nowhere, Thomas Flegler, Billy Walters. Now, he had a great game last week against the Warriors, scored a couple of tries. He has really flourished this season, certainly under the coaching of his dad, Kevin. So, he's really made a name for himself for that starting position, that starting hooker position for the Broncos. And look, he was on the field on the lap of honour with Dad Kevin in the 2000 Grand Final. So it'd be a nice little touch there if the Broncos are successful this year, that maybe this year it'll be Billy as a player and Kevin as a coach. Now, I think if Brisbane do end up winning this game on Sunday, that Kevin Walters will be the first player and coach to have won a premiership in the NRL era. So a pretty good achievement there if Brisbane can get the job done. The other thing there is obviously the father-son combinations with obviously Nathan and Ivan, who have been there before for the Panthers, and this year you got Billy and Kevin as well as coach and son. So always good to see those players sort of come through and the next generation, and they've got an opportunity to create their own little history there. But yeah, the Brisbane Broncos, they got obviously Reece Walsh this year. He's been outstanding. He's got that speed. He comes around the back and he knows how to find a gap. He's always in support there up in the middle. So you just got to watch his speed. Interesting, his clash with Jerome Luai. They had some words in State of Origin this year, but I think Reece has probably tried to turn it down a little bit since those days, but he's really sort of toned it down a little bit. He's concentrated on his football. He obviously had that suspension a little bit earlier on in the season, and I think that was a little bit of a turning point for his play. So Reece Walsh, he'll definitely be one of the players to watch. Ezra Mam, he could probably go a little bit underrated as well. He's got, again, speed, good passing game, good short kicking game. So he complements Adam Reynolds really well. So, again, someone to watch as well. Adam Reynolds, he was there in 2021 against the Panthers up there at Accor Stadium during the COVID years. And he will want, I guess you could say, redemption for losing that grand final. He obviously won one with South Sydney in 2014. So it'll be a big honour for him to be a captain, a premiership winning captain of the Broncos. He's fallen in love with the Brisbane Broncos after his move from South Sydney. He's just loving it up there in Brisbane. So he's the linchpin of this side, his kicking game, his goal kicking as well. That could be very crucial in these big games. So watch for a big game from Adam Reynolds. Now, a little bit of a this week already, we've seen Herbie Farnworth and Adam Reynolds and Reece Walsh up there at training have some minor injury scares, and what grand final week wouldn't it be? Would it be without a injury scare? I'm a bit surprised we don't see the hyperbaric chamber these days in grand final week, but who knows? They've been cleared of injuries, so they'll be playing. They'll line up. Now the forward pack, Payne Haas, he's the leader of this club. in the forward pack. So, yeah, he's one of the favourites for the Dally M Medal of the Year, Player of the Year, which will, at the time of this recording, will be announced later tonight. So he's in the running there for that. But again, he's got speed for a big man. He knows how to offload. Part of Brisbane's game last week against the Warriors was their offload game. 18 or 20 offloads to 4. So that could be a big part of their game this weekend against the Panthers. That second phase play can be really important. But Payne Haas, he plays big minutes, and he is certainly a world-class prop. So he'll be up for a big game, no doubt. And Kurt Capewell, he's played for the Panthers, won a premiership with the Panthers. Now he's playing against them in the grand final. He moved to the Broncos a couple of years ago, so very interesting there. I think only Adam Reynolds and Kurt Capewell have grand final experience in this Brisbane Broncos side. So only those guys have got the experience in a grand final. However, you've got players like Herbie Farnworth, who's an international. Katoni Staggs has played State of Origin. Reece Walsh has played State of Origin. Flegler's played State of Origin. Payne Haas has played State of Origin. And, Pat Carrigan as well. He's played State of Origin and for Australia as well. So these guys, they've got a big game experience, just not in grand finals. So Adam Reynolds and Kurt Capewell will certainly be offering their advice. And you've got someone like you've got former players at the club like Alan Langer and Kevin Walters, who have won many titles with the Brisbane Broncos. And you've also got someone like John Cartwright, one of the assistant coaches, who has been an assistant coach for premierships and also won one with the Panthers as a player as well. So he knows how to win premierships. So there's plenty of premiership winning experience in the Brisbane Broncos club. Only a couple of players have tasted that will be on the field. Pat Carrigan, what a player. Queensland, Australia, won the Wally Lewis medal last year. He's got a big motor. He can certainly crunch out the numbers. He has an offload game in him as well, but he is very crucial to this Brisbane Broncos side in getting this win. So, look, it's going to be a great game. It's probably, as I said before, it's the grand final that everybody predicted it would be. Is it the grand final that everyone wanted it to be? Well, probably not. Probably people wanted to see the Newcastle Knights in there. Maybe people wanted to see the New Zealand Warriors in there, but it wasn't to be. This is the first versus second teams in the competition, so you got the best sides from all year in this grand final. It's a sellout. It's going to be hot. It's going to be good. It's going to be fast play. It's going to be a big crowd. Who knows what the split will be? I'm tipping there will probably be more Panthers fans there being in New South Wales, but I'm tipping also that a lot of Broncos fans will travel down from Queensland, and also that they do have a good following here in New South Wales as well, but I think a lot will travel down from Queensland, so it'll be interesting to split in the supporters in the crowd. But it's going to be a great game, a big game. 7:30 p.m. at Accor Stadium, Sunday the 1st of October. Who am I tipping? Well, look, obviously the Panthers are favourites. They're going for that three-peat. I just think there's a lot of pressure there's a lot that, look, they're a champion side. They're a great side, don't get me wrong. But I just think all the pressure is on them. They probably don't show it. They probably don't feel it, but it's theirs to lose. I think this Broncos side is very... it's a different one. It's a different one to the one that played them in round 1, where the Broncos got the win, 13 points to 12. It's a different one that the Panthers beat the Broncos later on in the season. They've got a lot of confidence, this Broncos side, a lot of exuberance. I think the Broncos can get this win and end this three-peat quest for the Panthers, but it's going to be very, very close. I'm gonna tip the Broncos. I'm gonna tip something like a 18 points to 14 grand final. And who am I gonna tip for first try? Look, I'm gonna tip Herbie Farnworth as first try scorer in the grand final, and Clive Churchill medal winner. Look, I think it'll be. I'm gonna go outside the square here. I mean, obviously you got your favourites. You got Reece Walsh, Adam Reynolds, who would be a favourite, I guess you could say, for Clive Churchill medal winner. But I'm gonna go Pat Carrigan as Clive Churchill medal winner. There you go. So, who knows? Could come from a losing side. It has done in the past, but I don't think it will this year. I think it'll come from the winning side. And I'm going to go Pat Carrigan. Brisbane Broncos, 18-14. Herbie Farnworth, first try scorer in this grand final. It's going to be it's going to be a massive game. Can't wait. Grand finals are what the players play for. Premierships is what they want to win. That's what they play the game for. Some people say they play for money, but I don't agree with that. There may be a few players that do play for money, but the premiership victory is what they want. They've worked 12 months for this, and that's what they want. They want the victory. They want the premiership victory. So, Brisbane Broncos, 18-14, Herbie Farnworth, first try, and Pat Carrigan, Clive Churchill medal winner. And that will be the Broncos to win in the NRL, the Newcastle Knights in the NRLW. And look, in the state championship, we've got the Rabbitohs taking on the Brisbane Tigers, who won their premiership against the Burleigh Bears. I'm going to go to the Rabbitohs in that one as well. That's the first game of the grand final day, 1:20 p.m. at Accor Stadium. So get out for that one to see who the best, I guess you could say, reserve grade side is in Australia. So the Brisbane Tigers won their premiership, the Rabbitohs won their premiership, so now they're playing off in the state championship. So look, I'm going to tip the Rabbitohs in that one. I'm going to go the Newcastle Knights in the NRLW and the Brisbane Broncos in the NRL grand final. So thank you very much for listening to my tipping podcasts each week. I hope you have enjoyed them. There still may be a few more this season with the internationals coming up. I might have a little bit of a chat about those each week when they come up, starting October 14, I think they are. So, but thank you very much for listening to my tipping podcasts each week. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate the support and the feedback. And thank you very much for listening to another episode of the Parrot Cave podcast, tipping podcast. And I will be back on Pulse FM again on Friday, talking about this grand final coming up. So tune into that one, 89.9 FM on Friday. And there will be a interview podcast come out tomorrow with Ian Roberts, former Manly, South Sydney and North Queensland, New South Wales, Australia legend of rugby league. So tune into that one as well. Have a listen to that one. It was a great chat with Ian. Really enjoyed it. And I'm sure you will too. So thank you very much for listening. Enjoy your grand final day. Whatever you're doing, whether you're going to the game or whether you're watching it at home, let me know. Let me know how you celebrate grand final day. If your team isn't in it, how do you celebrate grand final day? Give me some tips, as Parramatta's not in the grand final this year. So give me some tips. What do you guys, the listeners, get up to on grand final day? Do you have a barbecue? Do you go out? Do you go to the club and watch it? Give me some ideas. How do you celebrate grand final day? So thank you very much for listening. Enjoy the games. Good luck to all the teams involved. And stay tuned for another episode of the Para Cave podcast.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Para Cave